Hello, good morning from here in the UK in the Maggin Rose Hearth. It is our scheduled Middle Earth readings coming to you every Monday at 11 a.m. GMT. Apologies that I'm running about 4 minutes late. For those of you who are waiting, I look forward to seeing you. Do drop me a note in the comments box to say that you're here. So we are preparing for the summer solstice in the UK, and we've got 3 movements to look at to see how can we walk with wisdom through the coming week ahead. How can the runes tell us about what energy is available to us, what we should be focusing on, how we can weave our weird as powerfully as possible so that we are working with destiny, not struggling against it. So I can see, hi Chen, lovely to see you. Hi Carolyn, lovely to see you. So I'm going to run us through the planetary movements and the themes that they bring up for us for the week, and then please do share in the chat what your rune for the week is, and we will see how that works with the energies for the planets and what's happening. So as I said, we are coming towards the summer solstice, and that means that we are bang in the middle of the half month of Dargaz. So Dargaz is the rune of the day. It's the rune of sudden transformation, and it's a gateway. So we can see it as in some ways sort of passing through the gateway of the summer solstice. I feel as if one of the things that the Northern tradition teaches us is that there isn't really a new year point. There is a sort of you might say like a death of the old which comes through the winter time, and then a rebirthing, but that process of releasing, regenerating, renewal, rebirthing is happening all the time for us, and it's one of the ways in which we can work with the energies that are present for us, because we can say we are changing all of the time. We are birthing new projects, new ideas all of the time. We're having experiences all of the time. So the wheel of the year and the runes help us, and they support us to sort of say, okay, if there are things that you want to leave behind, if there are challenges that you have, you can use the summer solstice to step out of them and to leave them past. You can do firework in particular is very powerful for that, and you can step into something new. I know I can't remember which workshop it was now, probably the seership with the runes workshop, we were talking about creating the shape of a rune in front of you with a joss stick, or with sage. You can use that as well, and creating the shape of the rune and then actually moving through it. So if you're feeling like I'm really stuck, my energy is really stuck at the moment, a really powerful thing that you can do at the point of the summer solstice or during the course of this week is to do that with your Dargaz rune. Create your Dargaz rune. I'm just looking for its shape. Imagine releasing from your body the things that are no longer serving you, and step through and allow the Dargaz rune to take them into itself and secure them perfectly into the past, and imagine those things that you're stepping into. So here's the Dargaz rune, there we go. So it's the gateway rune, and you can see that it sort of brings the past and the future are these 2 lines on either side, and then the present moment is there, and it forms this gate, this moment, this sort of present moment right there in the middle that we move through. So we have that happening with Suna's chariot in Dargaz, so I wanted to acknowledge that. We also have, on the 21st, we're moving into Himmelbjörg, so Heimdall's hall. This is the halls are the equivalents of the zodiac signs. So Himmelbjörg is, Heimdall is he's also a gatekeeper in some way. He's like a guardian of that which is sacred, and he sees all. So he does have this Dargaz quality. Dargaz is a rune of great clarity of thought and vision, and Heimdall brings that too. He is said to be able to hear the grass growing, in all of the different worlds. Some say that his ear, just like Odin's eye, is placed beneath the well of weird. Some say that Heimdall's ear is placed beneath the well of weird as well, suggesting that he hears not just what is being spoken, but also those subtler, the whisperings beneath, that he's able to hear them as well. And he's known as the shining god. He's a guardian. So he is again really helpful to work with if you are looking for clarity clarity of thought, clarity of perception. He's also a great patron for those of you who have who in seership tend to be auditory rather than visual. You know, it's really good, useful one to say, Heimdall, help me with this, help me to sort of extend those that talent for myself. So he's really useful there too. Also on the 21st, we have Odin's chariot moving into Thala. Now, Odin's chariot has taken a really, really, really long time to move through Ingu's, the previous rune. And I am very glad that he is now moving into Athala. And in the description that I give of what Odin's chariot in Athala means, which you can see on the blog, for those of you who have our Sooners Star Wheel membership, it comes with your email at the beginning of the month so you can read what's ahead. He reminds us that to serve is not always to obey. And this brings in a theme that I'm feeling very strongly through the course of this week, which is that of sovereignty. And I've mentioned it already in terms of like Heimdall looking out over, you know, all things and then judging from that position. You know, he's listening, he's seeking counsel. You might see that as being a king or a queen or a sovereign upon the throne who asks, you know, what does this mean? There's no fear of seeking counsel. They don't need to be like, oh, I know everything. You know, they're not tyrannical leadership. We're talking about empowered, mature leadership and sovereignty. So we have that with Heimdall. And we also have that with Dargaz as well, if you think about that sort of perception, that ability to see. But with Odin in Athala, he reminds us that sometimes we are born to bring about change. That we might say, you know, we are serving a vision that, you know, our leaders or the people that we respect or the people who are around us also hold as being valuable. And yet the way in which, you know, the path, our own unique paths are not perfectly congruent with the way in which somebody else would do something. So, you know, it's not always obedience that's called for, you know, and you see this in the ancient tales of kings who move from being the, you know, all-knowing sovereign into holding power too tightly. And then their trusted advisors will start to, you know, rebel, and they will feel really awful about that because they will be, you know, we are loyal to the throne. And I think what's important to remember is that it is loyalty to the vision and to what we serve that's important, not always loyalty to a person. You know, we all have periods of times where we may be called on to lead in service to a particular vision. And part of the art is knowing when that service is done and somebody else is going to be taking on that mantle or going to be contributing their bit as well. So Odin is asking us to feel into that and saying, you know, what is the vision that I serve? What are the actions that I need to take? What is the legacy that I want to leave? But also to recognise that, you know, our ancestors have done the same, other people around us are doing the same. And not to expend too much of our energy on either trying to please people too much or on trying to disagree with them too much, you know, because that's not going to get us very far. You know, yes, understanding, looking at what we share, you know, is important, but not defining ourselves by what other people think about us is what he's asking us to really move into. And then on the 25th, at the end of this journey of the week, Tia's chariot, the Roman equivalent Mars, moves into Manaz, the rune of the divine human, and he is saying, claim the crown. So you could see this week as being almost a journey. So here's the Athala rune with Odin's chariot, the Roman equivalent Mercury is in Athala, the rune of legacy, ancestry, inheritance. So there's a recognition there that I can do something different without disrespecting what's come before. And this is, you know, come from the point where Odin has been deep under the earth in the Ingu's rune for a long period of time, looking for regeneration and looking for renewal, which sometimes we have to do. Sometimes we go through these journeys which are really uncomfortable and difficult, and we think, why? You know, why does this keep on happening? And it is because we are discovering our path to sovereignty and recognizing that when we repeat the arc of those who have come before, we are not serving the greater good, because we need to be able to follow our own destiny and our own, create our own rules within that. So that's why this sort of, I think that's been really important, this long Ingu's journey, which I think a lot of people have experienced as being deeply uncomfortable at times. But now we're starting to emerge and to say, okay, now I am ready to claim what I have learned and the power that I've claimed for myself in this point. I honour the ancestors through that, but I'm not always going to do the same as they have, or authority as well, any forms of authority there. And then on the 25th, it's about claiming that crown and saying, this is what I stand for. Each of us gets to wear a crown. Each of us has a realm that we are here to support, and that we are here to tend and to take a stand for, and to defend, and to nurture and bring forward. So that is what Tia is asking us to do. It's like stepping into action in many ways after a journey of learning and a journey of honouring through Odin. We now need to step into action, and I'm just looking for my Manaz card, which doesn't want to come out to play. So we'll just have to imagine it. So it looks a bit like that. There you go. It was hiding all along. Just as I said, no, I couldn't see it. There's our Manaz card there. You can see within it, I like to see it as being, this is Odin's throne. And then we've got Hugin and Mun, his ravens of thought and memory, sort of flying in and whispering to him in the centre is what I'm seeing there for them. So, sovereignty. What do you wish to serve? What have you learned through the last weeks, months? What is it that you are prepared to take a stand for? What is it that you are holding a boundary around, either saying that's not my realm, that's okay, that's somebody else's realm, they're going to deal with that, I don't need to panic about those things because it's not what I am here to do. My job there is to trust that somebody else is doing it, and contribute when I can, as long as my realm is not as long as I'm not like spending all of my energy over there helping somebody else or not doing the bit that's my job. And what is it that I am here to bless, is the way that you might see it, that I extend my time, my energy, my recognition that what I'm doing is sacred and blessed, is a really important piece as well. That there's a sense of sacred duty there that comes too. So not a small week, but I'm looking forward to the 25th, and I'm looking forward to hearing all about what is it that you would claim for yourselves. If you had a crown, what would that crown represent? What would it be that you were here to serve? Right, let's move into the runes. We've got lots of shares. Hello everybody. So Chen, you've got Dargaz, so that's perfect really, isn't it? This stepping through from the old into the new, the rebirthing that we get with the summer solstice. So because Dargaz is the rune of the day, this would suggest to me, Chen, that for you actually maybe doing something daily rather than sort of going, the summer solstice is coming and there's going to be a big moment. There's a question here about actually in each moment, if you're feeling confused or uncertain, or there's lots of stuff going on, it's bringing yourself back into presence in the moment and saying, what can I do to best serve in this moment? What can I do to best serve in this moment? It might be that actually the best thing you can do is to go and get a glass of water because you're really thirsty in this moment. And then after you've had that, you can ask the question, what am I here to, how can I best serve in this moment? And because you are replete with your water and things, then it becomes clearer, because you're functioning better, what the next moment is. So Dargaz is almost asking you to see it as, imagine the Dargaz rune. I'm not going to try and get my Dargaz, I'm going to show you Dargaz and Manaz. So Dargaz is at the top of the Manaz rune, you can see. So, if you cut that bit off there, that the Dargaz rune can look like a butterfly. Often it comes in meditations as a butterfly. And I'm almost imagining for you that there's this huge Dargaz rune made out of many, many butterflies, all, their wings are all fluttering together. And it's like recognizing that it isn't the big moment, it's all of the moments that have gone to make that one that's important. So asking that question, how can I best serve now? Karen says, hello. Felicity, you've got Hargalaz. You and Hargalaz, you're loving each other at the moment, aren't you? Feeling that a lot. what's coming to my mind with Haagelas is actually like the bigger picture. Whereas with Chen, we were almost talking about the microcosm, you know, those small moments. Haagelas to me is almost a macrocosm moment. I'm thinking about it as the seed. So Haagelas can look like a big capital H with a wonky inner prong, but it does have an alternative form as well, where it looks like a six-pointed star. People often see that as being like the mother rune, and I'm seeing this as being imagine that, you know, everyone's out there, they're doing their stuff, and they're, you know, whatever they are, they're in their offices or they're in their temples or in their homes, and they're doing their thing, and they're all like, you know, what's happening? What's the meaning here? What's the meaning here? And you are out on the mountainside, participating in the raging storm. And I think it's almost a sense of that being a place of power for you. It's almost Mother Nature coming and saying, whatever these small moments might mean, in the bigger picture, all will resolve itself. And sometimes it resolves itself through the chaos of the storm, but the storm will pass. And so by allowing yourself to feel that Haagelas energy fully, it dissipates some of the smaller, you know, overwhelm, or just that sense of, you know, that when daily life is really, really challenging, it's saying go back to the wild and recognize that you are part of the wild within that, and that the storm just will come to pass. You know, that's inevitable, and you are part of that inevitability. Marie, you have Largus, the rune of water. Capital, well, I say capital, it's the L sound, but lake, we can think about it. Also leek, the word leek comes from it, so it's associated with water as a gateway, and it is also associated with fertility and growth and manifestation. It's a very natural manifestation. If you think about the Kinaz rune at the beginning of the rune row, which is the sort of fire rune of the smith, Largus harnesses all of the different forms of, you know, creative forces within it. As a synthesizer rune. A lot of these later runes in the you know, the Dargaz rune is right at the very end. It's a massive rune that synthesizes, you know, you can see that with the butterflies, and it's all of these things coming together and creating one unified whole. Largus is similar because it's the end of the rune row, and there is this sense for you, whereas with Felicity, that connection with the natural world was coming through the Haagelas and the storm. And if we think about this as, you know, I was asking you about sovereignty and the crown, you might see this as when you connect with these like images, or, you know, whatever comes for you through this time, this is a energetic stepping into sovereignty. So, you know, with Chen, that stepping through the huge Dargaz room with the small butterflies and recognizing, I have done this. Felicity, you know, I am part of the storm. And then Marie, you have that, you know, I have that Largus energy, that fertilizing, powerful energy that renews and restores the land. And I draw that up, the deep caverns underground where the water comes from. And I've harnessed the water pouring down the mountainsides, and I tend and I nurture. And it doesn't deplete me, because I am also tended through that process. And that Largus process renews and restores. So I'm going to leave you with that, just the fertilizing, renewing, healing power of water is coming through very strongly. Carolyn, you have Manas. This is perfect for the sovereignty theme. What's coming here? So again, there's quite a lot of natural landscapes coming through here for me, and it might be almost a sense for you of like claiming the land and claiming that sovereignty with the land. And again, recognizing that it's always, it's not the sort of power over, it's always the power with. And there is a recognition, I feel, that you have been claimed, and that brings you power. You know, that just as much as you claim destiny and you claim fate and you reach out and you say, this is who I am, this is what I want, the the fate and the destiny does the same, and it reaches out and it says, you are what I want as well. So it's not going to give me so much about what that means, but it is the act of recognizing that you have also been chosen. It's not just that you have chosen for yourself, and it's that embracing that's important there, and that recognition that you have been chosen and you are exactly what is needed. And that is when we step into sovereignty, not by saying, I'm in charge, but by saying, I have been chosen, and I choose this as well. Is the distinction there. Erica, you've got Bacano, and I'm just feeling into that as a slightly different. There is, again, the power of the land is coming through with Bacanos, the rune of the birch tree, and renewal. There is a real softness that's coming through for me with the Bacano rune here for you, Erica, and a tenderness. I think it's a recognition there of your ability to hold space for those who are at their most vulnerable, and to draw out the powerful child within is what's coming through for me. It's like Bacano is a rune that is about children, but it's also a protective rune for children. It's very, very powerful to use for, you can make some really nice sigils with the Bacano rune for children. And there is a sense there for me of recognizing again with this idea of sovereignty that there is a purpose that channels through us, because we are, we've chosen to work towards it, but destiny has also claimed us and said, yes, you are someone who is able to bring out the child in others in such a way that they are able to heal and restore and claim their joy and feel that power, that ability to, that like excitement in the world that often people lose through the course of childhood. That the trauma they experience has become too much and it's made them feel a lack of power, and that you can work with that core inner child is the sense that I get there. And it's not always just about holding space with the voice, and it's not something that's just in your work. It's something that I think the gods just want you to recognise that as being precious and a gift. Patricia, you've also got Bacano. Isn't it interesting when those come up together at the same time? There's more of a sense of newness, like innovation, excitement, moving forward, growth coming through with that. It's more tingly. I think there was an open and an expansiveness with Erica, but for you it's more the pioneer. If you think about the birch trees, when there were, when Loki had raged through like the wildfire and he'd burnt the forests away, and then the birch trees were known as the trees that would often self-seed first, and you'd get the birches coming up, and then the later trees would come afterwards. So they are pioneers and trailblazers. So I think, Patricia, that for you that it would be about recognising again, maybe even doing a little bit of a look back over your life and saying, when are the times when I have brought that excitement and that anticipation, and that, I was talking about Erica being someone who helps other people to access the inner child. For you, it's almost recognising the power of that inner child who knows the power and the potency of play, and the power and the potency of creativity, and the power and the potency of looking for improvement, and not being afraid to speak that or say that. And it's honouring that and looking back over your life and saying, when have I embodied that energy, and again claiming it for yourself, and almost like setting the Bacano rune in your crown. And I suspect that through that work, that is also like a gateway or like a key that then helps you to access other aspects of your power, and particularly those archetypal powers within. That the inner child is the gatekeeper for, because everything else is there to support and develop and keep the inner child safe. So when they are powerful, then everything else can blossom and bloom. Shelley, let's see, you have got Gibo. So happy to be here. We're happy to have you as well, Shelley. The rune of the gift. there is an exchange within the Gibo rune. One of the exercises, here's the Bacano rune, for those of you who don't know the Bacano one as well. One of the things I really loved to do with the Gibo rune when I was first connecting with it is that it felt to me a little bit constraining when I first heard about it, because it is about promises, oaths, contracts, and I was like, oh, that's great, but I felt within that a constrained reciprocity. When you I've noticed when I was a child, but I can also see it now that I'm a parent, when you go to birthday parties and there's all that worry about how much money is going to be spent on the present. What if they spend more than we spent? What if their party is bigger and my child likes it more than theirs? And it's all of this stuff which really doesn't matter, but we instinctively feel into it because we are looking for fairness. Fairness and honour are what the Gibo rune really gifts us, but our society often twists that into commodification, which is not the same thing as fairness and honour. And so I started to do some work with the Gibo rune of either lying on my bed and making the shape of the Gibo rune like a big star shape, or if I was able to, going outside and lying on the grass in a big open park and just allowing myself to become one with the sky. And that could feel it can make you giddy, so just to warn you, don't do it for too long. When you're doing it, focus on the breath and that exchange of the oxygen into the body and then breathing out of the body, recognizing that the power of Gibo, that gift power, is always present in you as you breathe, because we breathe in the air in one form and we breathe it out in another, and we are always in partnership with the plant, with the realm of the plant, the animals and the plants working together in this respiratory exchange that's happening, and recognizing these natural forms of gifting and contract that predate our later legislation, and this money means that money and this means that, and moving more into feeling a sense of generosity and abundance with the Gibo rune can be really powerful. So I'm going to leave you with that, Shelley. Darren says, hi everyone, happy solstice eve day, have a good week. So yours is Gifu as well. So just so for those of you who don't know the runes as well, Givo, G-E-B-O, is the Elder Futhark name, so it's a Proto-Germanic name, and Gifu is one of the later names of the Anglo-Saxon name. So it's the same shape, but people call it different things, in case you're wondering about that. So sometimes people will say, so Erica said Bacana later, and that's fine. We know what is was meant by that. So Gifu, so you have the rune of the gift. There's a simplicity coming through as well, Darren, for me. I'm going to leave you with a lot of what Shelley said, because I do think that's really important. I think the only thing I would add to that is that sense of, if you do that work around expanding into Givo and sort of saying, okay, I'm going to feel into the flow and recognise that it shouldn't be commodified. Honour and fairness are, we have exchange to start with, exchange and partnership and the collaboration in an ecosystem in our environment. And then from that comes fairness and honour and integrity on which our social systems are based. And then on top of that, we have the specific rules that a society has chosen for itself, some that are not always brilliant and some which are great. And connecting in with those deeper energies first. And then when you do any form of exchange, so it might be a payment of money, or it might be writing something down on your to-do list, or it might be saying to somebody, could you help me with this, or it might be, I can help you with that, or any form of promise, just connecting back into that power of Gibo and recognizing, I am channeling that power as it should be. And again, I'm just reminding you of that overarching theme of sovereignty that Gibo is saying, both for Shelley and for you, Darren, that it's rawest, most potent power is available to you. But with some of the runes, it's like peeling off the layers that society is, like the conditioning that society has placed on us about what these things might mean. And we don't have to take that on board. That's sometimes what we're doing in terms of saying, thank you to the ancestors for creating that, for systematizing, like money, for example, has been helpful for us in terms of the world economy, but it's not always helpful for us in terms of actual fairness of exchange, rather than a balance sheet, which holds no sense of fairness within it. It just is, but we sometimes confuse those things. Diane, you've got Issa. Yes, I am well, thank you very much. So we have the rune of the ice and stillness, which is very interesting in the context of this week, with our Dargaz gateway and fire and the sun and the journey that a lot of us have been called to. So I'm going to remind you of Heimdall's Hall, Himmelsbjörg, great hillside, white hall, looking over the Bifrost Bridge, the bridge between the worlds, which is often referred to as the Rainbow Bridge, and Issa is also referred to as a bridge. And to be thinking about the Issa rune and the way in which the light flows through it, people pass across it, energy is channeled through it. If you've done the Issa meditation, it's on the YouTube channel, and I know you've done Awakening before, so you can look at the Awakening module as well. For a lot of us, when we work energetically, we're open to transformation. And what I'm endeavouring to do through these readings is to connect you in with powerful transformation, powerful, positive, life-affirming, destiny-enhancing, energetic transformation. Because we have all sorts of stuff around us that is doing that conditioning transformation all the time, or picking up on other people's energies and other people's stuff, particularly if we're empathic, highly sensitive. And so we're looking to, say, that's not mine, that's not mine. And the Issa rune does that, par excellence, by becoming a conduit that remains clear. The ice remains clear, the light flows through it, myriad of beautiful colours. The people pass across it, on the Bifrost Bridge, and we channel the energy of the stars above and the planet below when we're in that Issa space. And yet it remains clear and at peace, is what I want to say. So I'm going to leave you with that for the Issa rune, that I think that maybe that is what it's talking to there. And it is again saying, access that part, claim that for your sovereignty, claim that as part of your power. I'm actually seeing these sort of almost like opalescent little rectangular crystals of Issa ice in a crown there for you, Diane. It's rather beautiful, I have to say. Lisa, you've got Hargalaz as well, so I'm going to refer you to Felicity's piece about that sort of claiming your power to be the storm. And I think, Lisa, the only thing to add into that would be that you can also bring that back into, I'm sure it's true for Felicity as well, but it's coming through more clearly for you, Lisa, that sometimes you are the storm. I think I've got a feeling we might have had this one before, Lisa, ignore me if we haven't, but this idea that sometimes we come in the Bacano guise of which is one of the sort of mother runes, and similar to Hargalaz, we talked about mother as being the sort of Hargalaz as being the mother rune. So sometimes we come as Bacano, we support, we help, we nurture, we hold. Sometimes we come as Hargalaz. This is the way that it has to be. I'm going to deliver this news to you. This is not the way that it can be okay. This is what is happening. This used to work, it doesn't. It's that, again, that sovereignty of saying, I know when to be supportive and to sort of like a coach or support somebody through this, and I know when to be assertive and to say, this is necessary. I have seen this change and it needs to happen, and I'm going to lead you on this journey with me and be the storm when I need to be. Or Suzanne has brought her collection. I always imagine Suzanne now like coming, and she's got like this sort of sack of runes that she's bringing along with other people. So Suzanne, you have Perthrow. Lovely rune of mystery. I've got a feeling again, is that a rune that you've been working on or sort of thinking about a bit more? Because it does feel like a sort of claiming and a saying, almost that recognition that the summer solstice offers to you of saying, yes, through the course of the last few months, I have claimed that sort of ability to alchemize all that I am or all that I see around me, and to bring it in and to create with it in that Perthrow manner, which is less intentional than keen as. It's less, I don't want to say plan, that's the wrong word, but there is a sort of harnessing, an intentional harnessing of energy with the keen as rune. The artist or the smith becomes very important with the keen as rune. I draw stuff in, I think about it, I create with my hands, and I create something at the end. Perthrow is much more dynamic, and we can often create a lot more with Perthrow than we thought, because it's bringing in all sorts of stuff from the subconscious mind that we weren't aware of, and it creates something unexpected through that. And it's sort of saying, recognize that pathway of the creatrix for yourself and claim that within your sovereign power. Ren, you have Bacano as well. So we have done Bacano, I think, twice now. Oh, and you've got Lagus on side facing downwards. Okay, so with Bacano, so Bacano can be a rune of the earth, and we've talked about Lagus as well as being that, we talked about it as being, I think with Marie, the waters under the earth that rise up and are sort of filtered and they come up to the surface. The fact that it's on its side facing downwards, I'm imagining that as being like that its little hook is almost digging into the earth, and with the Bacano rune as well. To me, that is about go out with your shoes off, do that earthing work. If you could do any planting or actually getting your hands into the earth, that will work really well. I have no idea whether this is possible for you or not, but I'm actually seeing if you are able to go to like a cairn or a barrow of some description, that would be really, really helpful. Even if it's a setting of your intention to do that. There's something about like being under the earth that's important for you, Ren. And there is a claiming journey there. It's a claiming of sovereignty journey. If you haven't done it before, you might like to try the Bacano YouTube meditation that I've done, because that does include a sort of going into a cave with water within it. So that might be helpful for you as well. But there's something about claiming your own power, and this is something that it's a reclamation of your own power and authority through this process, rather than me saying, this is what your crown says and things like that. It's actually, sometimes we take that journey and we think we're alone. We're not really ever alone. No, just to say. But that the beginning steps are taken alone. And in Bacano and Lagus, there is a willingness to take risks within both of them. So I would say that if you are, there is an acknowledgement there of the commitment to taking the path that you feel, the instinctive path that you feel, even if that does make you feel perhaps sometimes quite vulnerable and like you don't necessarily know where it's going. But so take that journey, whatever it is. And Sanita has got Gibo. So again, I think we've done Gibo twice. So I'm going to leave you with the Gibo once. Have a listen to that, Sanita. Esther, you've got Iwaz. So we haven't done Iwaz before. Iwaz is a rune of stability, and it similar to Felicity, where we had Hargalaz before. There is a sense of connecting in with the bigger picture here, of recognizing that each gateway that we move through takes us to back into ourselves, into deeper connection, sometimes into cycles that repeat, but they are never the same. We talk about like the spiral. So imagine the world tree reaching up with the Iwaz, being the rune of the world tree, the sort of yew tree or the staff, and it's this spiral of time moving around the world tree, and there's almost like these series of Dargaz gateways, sort of positioned on this spiral pathway. And for you, I think it is claiming that ability to both like be fully present in the moment and open to your perceptions and your knowings and that Dargaz gift, and to always be still and rooted, deep within the earth and up into the sky above. And that's the piece there for you, is saying I can be both. I am both. And each gateway is a deepening. Every time you pass through a gateway, the roots go deeper and the branches go higher. It's not a what am I looking for here? I think it's just recognizing that within yourself. There is a real solidity and assurance within that, and there is a silence within that as well, Esther. So I think it's something there around the silence and the certainty in that place, and saying that is where you find your sovereignty and your power, when you reconnect back into that place, and then you're able to come back out through the Dargaz rune and be out there in the world, but never forget those roots that take you deeper. Troy, you have Ewaz. Here's our Ewaz rune. I thought it would be on the top there. So we've got the Ewaz rune here. So the Ewaz rune looks like two Laguz runes connected with each other. It's also two horses facing each other. And I think what this rune is offering, Troy, at this point is the Ewaz rune often represents our desire to unite with the other, to find the one or the connection or the thing that's going to complete us. We're looking for completion and wholeness. And because it's about like claiming the crown, it's almost saying there's a journey that you have been on through this lifetime of recognizing that every time you look for the otherness outside of yourself, what you're actually doing is using that thing to reflect back to yourself something that's inside you. And that's why for a lot of conflict is caused out there in the world, because people will look to the other and be like, try and project what they don't want in themselves onto the other, and not recognize actually what I'm looking for is a part of me that I haven't recognized fully yet. They don't sort of say, oh, that person out there or that thing out there has total autonomy and is following its own pathway. But when I connected with it, I found something in me and it made me bigger. But a lot of us are afraid to do that. And there is something here for me, Troy, about recognizing that you know this truth deeply, and that the urge to connect with new knowledge or with people or with spirit, the more that you're able to recognize that that's always both a beautiful gesture of love for the outside world and for the other, but it's also a claiming of who you are each time, is incredibly powerful. And the Ewaz rune, people can often see within it a lot of darkness. It's often referred to as like the nightmare rune, but it is always because it's the part of ourselves that we don't want to see or that we're afraid of is talking to us, and the Ewaz rune is saying, but I'm here too, and I'm valuable and important as well. And it brings us that attention. And I think that there's a fearlessness that comes then when we follow that Ewaz pathway. So I would look to, again, maybe sort of look at where can I honour that within me, the desire to connect, what it meant, what I learned from it, and the way in which I grow with each new journey into the unknown. I hope that's helpful, Troy. Jen, you have Feyu for this week, the rune of life force. We wrote at the very beginning of the rune row. After Dargaz, we will be stepping back into Feyu. Very excited for those of you joining me on the awakening journey to learn all about the Feyu rune and to start really going into depth with it. Where is my Feyu rune? If I can find it, I'll put it up for you. What does Feiyu want? It's being very playful. I can feel this very playful energy with the Feiyu rune. And I think perhaps that's what's important there, is recognising, here we go, here's the Feiyu rune. It's a little bit like Yibo. You know, we were talking about conditioning before. There we go, it's our Feiyu rune. Looks like a capital F, hence the F. That to truly connect with the power of Feiyu is both to recognise just how powerful it is and also to recognise how powerful it isn't at the same time. So the original meaning of the Feiyu rune being sort of blood, life force, cattle, you know, that ability to feed ourselves, like nourishment is basically, you know, what it's about. The ability to have our basic needs met so that we could survive and thrive and function, you know, and then everything else follows from that. And then slowly Feiyu becomes the rune of like gold and wealth and money, and it becomes rigid in a sense. And Feiyu doesn't really like that, whereas Athala is also a rune of money and it quite likes security. Feiyu does not like security because it is, you know, it's like if you imagine that we eat something, the last possible thing that we want is for that thing that we just eaten just stay in our body forever, blocking everything else from coming through. What needs to happen is it needs to move through our body, be transformed inside us. We have that energetic exchange, and then we secrete that which we don't need, and it goes back into the earth, and the cycle begins again. That's what Feiyu wants. And I think that what Feiyu is offering to you, Jen, is a recognition that you are somebody who knows that, so you have access to a lot more Feiyu power maybe than you even really know when you connect with the Feiyu rune, that you're going to get it, you know. And it is, you know, it's a rune that a lot of people want the secrets to the Feiyu rune because they're like, you know, it's going to bring me wealth and all of these things. It doesn't always bring wealth. It brings us what we need. It brings us the nourishment that we need. But being able to play with its energy, you know, and recognizing it's very much, you know, it's Freya's rune, it's a rune of magic and mystery, and it's always sort of this flowing energy. We need that playfulness with it. When we start to take it really, really seriously, that's fear. You know, that's when fear, envy, jealousy, all of those things come in very quickly when we start to see it as, you know, the be all and end all of life. Even if you think about that in terms of that worry of food, and we can see that in society right now, that there is there are genuine fears about lack of money, lack of food, and we can see that is both incredibly important, you know, incredibly important, but equally that if we are ruled by that fear, and I say we, it means that everybody who has stuff will hold on to it tighter, and everybody who does not have stuff will have less chance of getting it. You know, so we have to be able to release ourselves from the overwhelming fear of lack in order to allow the energy of Feiyu to channel through us. It's a bit of a long one there. I hope that was useful to other people as well. But it's saying, Jen, that you have that sort of instinctively within you, so honour that within yourself. Chen, can you explain a bit about dargas and butterflies? Well, it's not something that comes from the rune poems, Chen, just to be really, really clear. But it is something, if you think about the butterflies as being a symbol of transformation, which they often are, you know, sort of transformation that can sometimes feel quite slow, and then the butterfly emerges and it goes, you know, very dargas, and it's just within the shape as well that you can see it. So a lot of people that I know who've worked with have seen the dargas rune within it. So it's recognizing that each individual butterfly can be like a very small moment in time, fleeting, fluttering moment that you don't even realise that you're transforming. You know, you don't realise that happens. A little bit like the caterpillar doesn't realise that I'm going to just eat all of these leaves and I'm feeling a little bit, what's going on here? And I'm just going to stop and there's a shell coming, and it's a slow process. And then it goes, oh my God, I'm a butterfly. How did that happen? That's where it's interesting, because dargas often feels like, the experience of dargas often feels quite sudden to us. Quite, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. But if you look back, often you can see the seeds of how that moment formed. You just didn't know that's the way that you were going. Marie, thanks. I'm really feeling into the natural flow of Lagos. I am glad. Karen says, thank you, really interesting. Words are giving me something to think about. Erica, many gems for the inner child. Good, I am glad. And I am very glad that you are going to go out, Shelley, and into the grass and make the shape of the Giba. And it's really lovely. I have to say, it's just delicious. I may well do the same. Elaine, hi, you have got Tewaz. Oh, I don't think that we've covered Tewaz. So Tewaz is the rune of Tia. And Tia is, Tia's chariot is moving at the end of the week, as we know. So it's that opportunity to move into sovereignty will be very, very strong for you at this time. What's coming through for me, Elaine, is truth. And this is quite a big topic. I've been feeling into this a lot. So if you want to feel into the energy of Tewaz, this is the perfect time to go and do the half space inner circle classes that we've just been doing with the god Tia and on courage. It'd be really helpful if you want to go deeper into that. The practice of owning our truth and speaking our truth is a very, very long one. And we think it's easy, this is what truth is. And then we start to go, but they can speak their truth and that's fine, but it doesn't mean that it's my truth. So where is the truth? It starts to bring us into this challenge place. And very much again, I've talked about conditioning, that society teaches us what its truth is so that we can function in that society. We need to learn what society deems to be true and what does not. Money doesn't mean anything unless everybody agrees that this pound in my hand, well, I don't have one obviously, but if I had one in UK sterling pound in my hand, means that I can buy X, Y, and Z. I won't have more than this, and I have less than that. And I have the pound, but you don't have the pound, and therefore it belongs to me, even though you could, sort of grab it from me. And if you did that, there will be a legal recourse because you would have stolen my pound. There's a huge amount of societal agreement about what the truth is. And yet, in order for us to move forward and continue to evolve and not to get trapped within the web of the tapestry that we've created and to not be able to move or function, we need to be able to feel into our own truth as well, so that we know this is my truth and this is the truth of society that I am choosing to honour at this point because it serves me well, is where we are. And I think, Elaine, with that, it is again about saying, a lot of this is about stepping into that and saying that the ability to stand in your own truth and speak your truth is incredibly important to you, and only you will know at this point whether you want to say, okay, there have been times where that's been compromised over the past, weeks, months, years. And what I want to do is to use this hinge point in the year to step through that into greater truth for myself. Or whether you're going, actually, no, I'm really great on I can really feel that actually, I do really well in speaking my truth, even if it's a little bit uncomfortable for people, and in hearing other people's truths and honouring those as well. It's the ability to do both that Tewaz, really offers to us. Standing up for what we believe and respecting those who do the same. So just have a little feel into what truth means for you at this point, and how much you feel like, yes, if I sit and I think to myself, I am in truth, that feels right. And I don't know why, but I feel moved to share this. So I'm going to share this with you, Elaine. There's a lady called Martha Beck, an author called Martha Beck, who you may or may not have heard of. She does a book, I really wish I could remember the title, but it's about something like The Path of Integrity. I want to say it's a great book. One of the things that she shares is a mantra that she uses. I am meant to be at peace. I am meant to be at peace. And if you sit and you do that mantra, not only can you really feel the truth in that, but it's incredibly liberating. And it's being able to connect in with those fundamental pieces that tell us at a soul level, this is true, that open us up, that help us to participate in the shaping of the collective truth of society, rather than being constrained by it or rebelling against it and then being utengarded, sent into the otherness where we don't get to participate anymore. Diane, thank you. May I have a wonderful solstice. I shall don my ice crown. Excellent. I'm glad that you will. Suzanne wishes everybody a fantastic solstice. Thank you. Says Felicity, off to ride the storm on my wild wings. Go for it. Jen says thank you very much, and Sharon says thank you for clarifying. So I think that we have completed Middle Earth readings for the day. Have a wonderful week ahead, a wonderful solstice. Wishing you so much power on your path, and hoping that for those of you who I've spoken to Tawana, who've been with me for readings or coaching sessions or in one of my training groups, that some of the more challenging energies at the moment allow you now to emerge into your sovereignty and your power, to be the weaving of the worlds that we want to see. So blessings to you all.